Good morning, everyone. This is Bill Evans, one of your board members, and I have the pleasure today to have Mr. Justin Jacobs from Blaine, Minnesota, on the call with us today. We're pretty excited about what's going on, and I'm really excited that we've got the opportunity today to have a conversation with Justin. As all of you know, well, actually, and Justin, you're actually not in cold Minnesota right now, are you?
No, I'm in sunny California working with, I get the privilege of talking to your upline with Whitney and Shannon Kwok's team tonight. I'm pretty excited to be here, especially since I heard it's like 40 and snowing in Minnesota, so this is good.
Yeah, in Ohio it's about the same, and it's been flurries, and you got the gig this weekend, buddy. Sunny Southern California,
I got it.
So that's awesome.
Yep.
That is cool. Well, listen, I don't want to take up a bunch of time with fluff talk, but I talk with Randy an awful lot, and Randy talks about what you are doing and how you are absolutely on fire. And so today, after speaking with Randy, what I thought would be really cool to do, and he thought what a great idea as well, is let's do a conversation, an interview with you, and just get to know you a little bit better, right? A lot of people have heard your audios, and we've been fortunate to have you speak. I know we've got you coming into Ohio next month as well, and we're just flat out excited to see what's going on in your world. And so let's talk a little bit. For those of you on the call who have not had the opportunity yet to listen to some of Justin's audios out there, he is probably, in my opinion, one of the most gifted communicators we have on the team. I mean, he just really has a way of helping us see a bigger picture and understand what's going on. So I think that's what we're going to do today. So, Justin, for those of people who don't know you yet, tell us a little bit about you, your background. Where did you come from? What was and I know we don't need to go all the way back, but let's do it anyway. You grew up in Minnesota, I'm assuming. So tell us a little bit about the early years of Justin Jacobs.
I had a really good childhood. I mean, looking back, I tell people, it's kind of freaky, but we were almost like the Brady Bunch growing up. I had a really, really good parents. They loved us. We had dinner at 5:30 every night at the dinner table as a family. I mean, if there was a problem in the household, we called a family meeting, and there was rules at the family meeting. We talked it out. And looking back, I go, wow, that was, really the sheltered life. And so I did. I had a great childhood. A lot of family around. And I'll tell you, from a young age, Bill, I was really ambitious. I remember just even before, I hit my teens, we lived a couple blocks away from the state fairgrounds in Minnesota. And, I mean, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. So I had a great childhood, but we didn't have a lot of money. So every school year, I was limited to 2 pairs of the $12 Lee jeans and 2 shirts, and my dad was like very specific, here's what you're allowed to buy. And if I wanted anything over and above that, it was on me 100%. If I wanted your Bo jeans or Guess jeans or cooler shoes, I had to figure out how to buy it. So even in my, 9, 10, 11 years old, I was ambitious. I was looking for more out of life. And I remember every year during the state fair, I would open up a lemonade stand, and we would sell we didn't sell lemonade because it was expensive to make. We sold Kool-Aid because it was cheap to make. And there was a couple other kids in the neighborhood that did that, and we scoped out our competition, and we wanted to know how much they were pouring in their cups and how much they were getting. And we tried to give them a better value than that. And for 10 days every year, from sun up to sundown, I would sit out there and sell Kool-Aid, even as a 10-year-old kid, because I was ambitious. I remember getting a paper route at 12 years old. I remember, calling the newspaper over and over. Every day I would call the newspaper place because I wanted a paper route. I wanted to make money. And I remember the guy finally calling me after a year and going, look, bud, we need a paper route. And I looked in the file, and there was 120-some requests from you and 1 from everybody else. So guess what? You're hired. And at 12, I started my first paper route. And then at 14, I decided I wanted more money, so I started a lawn mowing business. And get this, my dad made me rent the lawnmower from him. I had to pay for all the gas. I had to cover half of the maintenance on the lawnmower. But I passed flyers out around my neighborhood, and I started mowing lawns. And I'll tell you what, Bill, even in the early years, there was no lack of ambition. I wanted to go somewhere in life, and, that's kind of how childhood was for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that there was something burned inside of you even at an early age to, maybe, and I think of it like one of my favorite sayings, and you're living it right now, that Tyler says is, design a life you don't need a vacation from. And here you are out there in California right now, doing that, so on and so forth, designing that kind of life. But so those are the early years. And then, if I remember correctly, some things started to change for you, right? And took you maybe from that high level of ambition, maybe in a somewhat of a different direction, a direction maybe you didn't plan. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I had ambition, but what I was lacking in my life is really any kind of direction or anybody that could teach me how to be successful. I mean, all I knew was just go to school and get a good job. So, that was my focus, was go to school and get a good job. But the problem was, Bill, I hated school. I didn't like what I was learning. I just wanted to get out of there and get after it. And I'll tell you, even, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. We ate fairly poorly, and I was a bit of a nerd going to school. So, I was overweight. I had really bad acne. Somewhere in high school, I decided to get a mullet because I thought that might help the situation. That didn't help the situation very much at all. I ended up getting braces in my sophomore year of high school. I mean, I was not a popular kid. I was a geeky, dorky kid, and people made fun of me and they picked on me, and I became really bitter towards the world. And I started to rebel. I just wanted to go somewhere in life. That's all I could think about, was doing something great. My mom passed away a few years ago. She always would tell me, she'd say, "Justin, God put you on this earth to do something great with your life." And my mom always told me that. I believed that I was here to do great things, and I just didn't have any direction. And I ended up getting kicked out of high school, which was a bummer, because all I knew was go to school and get a good job. My mom pulled some strings. She worked, for the president at one of the large Christian colleges there in Minnesota, and she pulled some strings and got me into the post-secondary program. And wouldn't you know it, I got kicked out of college. I was rebelling at the time, and so I didn't even go to school my senior year of high school. But just to get rid of me, they gave me enough high school credits to graduate, plus a full year of college credits just to go away. So in 3 years of high school, I got 5 years of credit. So I just went out and hit the workforce. And I'll tell you, I ended up meeting some guys in the network marketing world that were very successful. And it was the first time in my life I had access to somebody who was successful and willing to teach me what they were doing. And that was kind of my first exposure to network marketing, was getting involved with these guys. I think the company was, I don't know, it was a phone company. I think it was a long distance type company back in the day. But that was really my first exposure to somebody that was willing to teach me, and an opportunity to go create something great without the college degree and everything I was told I was going to need. So, I dove in, and, it wasn't a very great program at the time, but at the end of the day, I guess that opportunity ended up changing my life. We bounced around with a lot of companies back then. And, sitting in my mid-20s, I had never made it. I mean, I didn't have a good program I was in. It seemed like every program I was a part of, either it wasn't exactly legitimate, or the company just changed the game and changed the rules, or, decided to go a different route with their business and go into the retail sector and shut down the network marketing side of things, the direct sales side of things. So I was frustrated. I'd been in several companies. I had some great people in my life. But again, nowhere to go with it. I remember sitting in my mid-20s, I owned a little house in a suburb of Minneapolis, and I was trying to run my own construction company. I'll tell you, I was out of work. It was the middle of winter in Minnesota. I'm not kidding. My wife was 6 months pregnant with our second child. She wasn't working. I couldn't find work. We had $80,000 in credit card debt. We were triple mortgaged on our house. I owed more than all of our cars were worth, and it's just one of those situations where you wake up in the morning and you go, how did I get here? I mean, your life becomes a nightmare, and you just go, how did I get here? But more importantly, how in the world am I ever going to get out of this situation? I mean, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to make my construction company successful. I didn't, I had no direction whatsoever in my life, and that was kind of the low point, I would say, was in my mid-20s in that situation.
We hear that, and now looking at you, it's really hard to even imagine that stuff. I mean, I've had the pleasure to be around you now for the last couple of years, and I think specifically of even a couple of meetings we've done up in Duluth, Minnesota, and you're up there, and you're Mr. Cool. I mean, the college kids are looking at you and everything, and you're Mr. Cool. So to look back now and think that back there at some point in time, Justin Jacobs was not cool is unbelievable to me. But that's pretty amazing, right? And what a great story. So here you end up. You've got some You've been introduced to the concept. Let me ask you this. What was it that attracted you? You said you ran into some guys, network marketing, you bounced around. So obviously you saw something in the industry that you saw that you could get there or hoped that you could get that you couldn't get somewhere else. What did you see? What was it that attracted you to it?
I saw money, and I saw somebody willing to show me how to make the money without having to have the degree and the background and the credentials, where I could just start and put my work ethic in place and make something great. And, you know, I'd met these guys, and they, you know, they dressed cool, they were young, they drove nice cars, they owned traditional successful companies outside of network marketing. These guys were the cat's meow to me. I mean, these guys were cool, and I wanted to be just like them. And, you know, unfortunately, those guys really weren't mentors to me. You know, they got me into the program, and it was kind of one of those deals where they sign you up and they say, go get them, Tiger. And I did, you know, but I didn't have any direction. I didn't have a Randy Haugen in my life teaching me this is how you do it. These are the steps you take. There was no system in place. There was no build strategy. There was no personal development program. And so it was just a program where, you know, I would have got into anything. I mean, anybody that was anywhere down the trail in life that was willing to teach me anything, I would have got into anything, Bill. I would have chased anything. And that was really what attracted me to the industry, was the fact that I could start from scratch with no background and build something great and just put my work ethic into place. And unfortunately, you know, it was just wrong company after wrong company after wrong company. And I don't even say wrong company. I say the wrong people behind the company. I think the people are what makes any business successful, you know?
Absolutely. No doubt about that. So where along that journey was the first place that you would say you found a mentor, someone who started to help you go from to take your hunger and your ambitious and your desire and all those things, and they started to take that and be able to mold it and get you onto a path? And talk a little bit about that, not specifically the person, but, you know, how did that happen? Where did that mentor pop up, and how did that change things for you?
So I'm trying to make my construction company successful, and I'm trying to get a loan to start building homes. We wanted to just start building houses, and so I was calling every mortgage broker in town trying to get a loan, and I think it was about the 18th mortgage place I called. It was a huge office with 70-some mortgage brokers, and this guy answers the phone, and I tell him my situation, what I'm trying to do, and he says, it's a long shot, but I'll get back to you. Let's see what we can work out. Little did I know that's the only time this gentleman had ever answered the main line. It's the only time ever that this particular person answered the main line at that office, which is kind of crazy, because 3 days later he called me. I remember exactly where I was standing. I was in Wyoming, Minnesota, in the driveway of a house we had just finished putting a roof on. I was sweeping the driveway at about 7:30 at night, and he said, look, bud, there's no way anybody's going to give you a mortgage, okay? But he said, by chance, are you looking for another way to make money? And, of course, the answer was always yes to that question. And I remember meeting this guy at a McDonald's in Robbinsdale, Minnesota. He was 25 minutes late. I mean, it was the craziest situation. He sat down. He showed me a presentation. Nothing about what he showed me looked good. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't get it, but I didn't care. I had another person willing to take me under his wing, and I got involved with this program. And here's what's so interesting. It's the same program that Randy had actually built. And I didn't know Randy Haugen at the time, but, you know, same type of a system education program that Randy was a part of. And, you know, for the first time in my life, I truly had a mentor. I remember learning as much as I could from this guy, and the system that he was a part of. You know, I was so desperate for change. I dove into the book. I read every single night till I couldn't read anymore, so I couldn't keep my eyes open. I went to every event. I was the first one there, last one to leave. If he told me to jump, I jump. If he told me to wear pink tights and carry drag a wagon with a duck down the road, I would have done it. I did exactly what he told me to do, and I did it better than he told me to do it. And I remember sitting up at, we'd sit at Perkins till 2, 3 in the morning just talking through life's issues and just him mentoring and coaching me. And I'm telling you, Bill, it changed my life forever. This system changed my life forever because, I learned principles of success. And what's so amazing to me is these principles of success are universal. You can apply them to anywhere in your life, and you're going to become prosperous and successful if you know what they are. The problem is most people have no idea what the principles of success are. And so, where do you get them? You get them from a system like this. You're not going to get them in the school system. You're not going to get them from you know, your parents that have worked traditional jobs, you know, your whole life. You get them from guys that have learned them ahead of you, and it changed everything, Bill. I'm not kidding you. Within 12 months, I was making six figures. Within 24 months, I was debt-free. And 48 months later, I had my first $1 million income year, and that's how fast life can change. Napoleon Hill says, when riches come, they come so fast in such great abundance, you wonder where they've been hiding through all the lean years. And I'm telling you, that's absolutely true. It's 100%. He also says that most people, when their success comes, it comes just past the point of failure, just past the point of giving up. And I'm telling you, it took me hitting rock bottom to apply that ambition level and keep going. And here's what I mean by that. If I hadn't hit rock bottom, I don't know if I would have been willing to do what it took over those 4 years to hit the $1 million income mark. So I'm grateful that my life took me to that point in my life where I was willing, because I think people in America, Bill, are just too comfortable. They're just a little bit too comfortable to go through the pain that's necessary, the struggle that's necessary to really live a great life. We're all satisfied with this good life that we live in America, but it never gets painful enough where we're willing to become uncomfortable to go get the great life. And I'll tell you, meeting that gentleman and getting involved with an education system like what we've got our hands on today, it changed everything, and it changed everything overnight.
Yeah, unbelievable, Justin. Great. So then, fast forward, right? So you can talk a little bit about that in between if you'd like to, but some things started to change, and then how do you go from there to where we are, not even today, to where you get interested and get involved with Avisae, with Randy? What's going on in your world? I mean, I know you became super successful in business, super successful in your construction business, and you know, and you can talk a little bit about that as well. And you credit the system, which is so true. And I want to talk a little bit about the system in a minute. But before we get to that, it's like, okay, so what led you to be part of this?
Well, you know, again, I was in the wrong program. Great mentorship program, great education system, wrong business model. And so I focused all my attention on construction, but it's like Randy says. Randy says, you know, it's not that hard to make $1 million circumstantially in America. I mean, everybody falls on circumstances where you can make a lot of money quickly, but nobody makes $1 million a year consistently in traditional business. And I found that out really quick. It was easy to make a whole bunch of money over a 2, 3, 4 year period of time. But when the industry changed, my income basically went away. I mean, it dropped considerably. I remember, you know, just a few years later having to pull money out of my investments just to get the bills paid. And so, you know, I never stopped chasing what I call the ultimate life, time and money, the one thing that network marketing seemed to be able to provide. And yet here I am, you know, 15 years into the network marketing world, and nothing's provided that yet. So I ended up getting out of the company I was with, and I jumped into another startup company, very heavily product-based company, no system whatsoever, but I didn't care. I was just excited to be a part of anything. And I'll tell you, we applied the knowledge we had from that system-based company to this company that we got involved with, and we became, you know, the 12 top distributors in the country in 3 years. It was a great ride. But again, all of a sudden I get that phone call one day and they go, hey, you know, the company's not doing so well. We're either going to go under and file bankruptcy, or we're going to sell to another company, and everything's changing. And I was just, man, talk about a frustrating blow, because I was just, you know, I was almost at that point again where I'm going, where is the real deal? Where is that thing that we can really take to the next level? I mean, where's the people that can do this correctly? And I don't even know how. We still haven't pieced the chain together of who referred who to what, or who met who where, and how I ended up on the phone with Randy Haugen. I still haven't pieced it together, but I ended up on a phone call with Randy Haugen. I had no idea who I was talking to. You know, it was organized by somebody else, and I'm talking to this guy, and he's telling me about his startup company, and I'm kind of going, here's what I'm thinking, Bill. I'm thinking, blah, 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 right? Because I had no idea who Randy Haugen was, but, you know, I'm listening to this guy talk, and there was something different about Randy Haugen. There really was just this calmness, this peace about him. He wasn't trying to wow me. He wasn't selling me. He wasn't fabricating anything. In fact, he was almost trying to talk me out of it. It almost seemed like. And I was really intrigued. And over a 2-month period of time, I talked to Randy regularly, and I ended up doing some research on who this couple was, Randy and Valerie Haugen. And boy, you know, there's something I had met a lot of people over 20 years that had made a lot of money in network marketing, but I had not met anybody who had helped somebody else do what they had done. And when I started reading Randy and Valerie's story, and I learned that they really had come from the same system I had and had quit for very similar reasons that I had, and I learned that the number of people that they've helped around the world to do exactly what they've done, that was off the charts, the most intriguing thing to me, because you don't meet anybody in this industry that helps hundreds of other people become financially free. And so I really dove into what Randy was telling me, and you know, it was a no-brainer. I'll tell you, the company I was with was offering me a guaranteed, you know, six-figure income. They were offering me placement. They were offering me status. But at the end of the day, I'm talking to Randy Haugen, and he said, Justin, in our program, number one, we will never make a decision that puts us in the red and jeopardize the future of our distributors. And number two, there is no free rides in this program. Everybody that gets in has to buy a spot exactly where they're supposed to be and organically build the business. We don't place people. We don't give people a free business, and we don't give anybody status. Everybody on stage is there because they earned it. And I was like, wow, that is so different from this direct sales industry where everything is fabricated. Everybody on stage is given a spot. They're given placements. They're given guaranteed incomes. It's just you know, the industry is just a mess. And I'm listening to Randy talking. I'm going, this guy might be the guy. This might be the perfect business. This might be the person that's finally figured this industry out and is willing to do it correctly. And I'm telling you, it was a no-brainer. We dove in. We flew out to Salt Lake City, Utah. I remember being at Randy's house for that first Pro 3K, you know, dinner, and it was just, I couldn't get enough. I can't tell you how many nights I lied there and cried myself to sleep because I was so grateful. It's so humbling to be a part of this organization, Bill. I mean, 23 years of looking for the deal, and we finally found it. We're finally home.
Boy, you know, right there, that you just hit it, right? We finally found it, and boy, so true. So now I can't say for sure that I know this for a fact, but you know, Randy's always bragging about how you guys are doing, and you right now, you guys are absolutely on fire. Things are cranking. Not to be negative, but just so people out there have the understanding. It wasn't always like that for you. In other words, you've always been a great builder. You've always done well. But some things clicked, some gears changed, and you guys have taken off as a team, and you're absolutely smoking it. Why? What happened? What took place?
Well, number one, we're students of the system. I mean, we really study the system, and we study the build strategy. You know, I came into this business with a background in a superstar-based model, a width-based model, which is what most companies are out there. So, you know, I'll never forget, a couple months into the business, Randy and Val fly to town, and I was so excited to draw the team out for them and show them how great we were doing. And when I drew the team out for them, I think I had 12 channels on that paper. And Randy, you know, I'm drawing saying, this guy's this and this guy's this. And I'm looking, Randy just goes, what? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, what are you doing, man? And I go, I'm building the business. Look at this. I got 12 channels. We're rocking. Things are cranking. He goes, you haven't heard a single thing that I'm trying to teach you. He said, he just took the paper, he set it aside, he goes, move everybody into one channel and start over. I go, what? Move everybody into one channel? He goes, if you can't afford to do that, move them into two. But he goes, you're not listening to anything I said. He said, Justin, it's not about how successful you can be enrolling people. It's about how successful you can help the people that you did enroll become. And boy, I'll never forget that statement. It's not about how many people you can personally enroll. It's about how successful you can help the people you're willing to enroll become. You see, we're not a go get as many as you can kind of business, which is most of the net direct sales industry. We're a success-based model where if I'm willing to enroll you, we become business partners, and my primary objective now becomes making sure you're successful. I go to work for you. I'm more focused on your business than somebody else's. And I'll tell you, it took us a good year and a half to figure out depth, because I didn't come from a background in depth. We weren't a part of Randy's organization in anything previously. So this depth model really took some time. The build strategy took us some time. But, you know, for that year and a half, we just worked our tails off, and we were students of the system. And we studied and learned and just devoured the system. And finally, some things started to click. And once we figured out the build strategy and some leaders came on that were as committed as I was, your Scotty Thompsons, your Rich Storholms, your Kathy Dunbars, the boating team. I mean, there's so many. My son is tearing up the business right now. These people just became students of the system, and together, we became unified. We had this battle cry in Minnesota that, look, we're this organic team in the country that has no background in depth. We've had to learn it from scratch. We've had to grow organically up here in the Midwest with our upline 14 hours away. And we just said, that's our battle cry. We're going to be that team that learns it, builds it from scratch, and has to learn it from scratch like most of the people that are getting in. And I'll tell you, there's three phases I see in the business still. There's activity, momentum, and results. And boy, that activity phase is a tough one because you're working, and you feel like nothing's happening. You're just working your guts out. And then all of a sudden, momentum kicks in. And man, that is the goal game. When momentum kicks in, it becomes a lot of fun because now you're growing. You can't even believe how fast you're growing. And we're looking forward to taking this momentum into the results phase where, people are really starting to make the big money. And then we're looking forward to that phase, Bill.
Boy, it's a great transition because the last thing I want to talk about is what do you see in the future? What is it that you see for yourself, your team? I mean, where do you see this whole thing going if you can paint it out there in the future for us?
Global domination. We want to take over the Midwest. We want to take over the U.S. and Canada, and then we want global domination. I truly believe that this company will not only revolutionize and change the direct sales industry forever, but we will change lives like no other company ever has. I mean, we are, like Tyler Libby says, we're that beacon of hope that puts down the ladder for the common man. And there's nothing on the planet like what we've got our hands on. I'll tell you this, Bill, the 2 months that I was looking at this business, the day I enrolled, I had never seen a product and I had never seen the comp plan. The only thing I cared about when I enrolled in this company was who's behind it, who are the people behind it, and what's the vision. And I'm telling you, that is number one on my list of reasons that this thing is going to be the biggest company that ever was in this industry is that we have the right people behind it. We've got ownerships that have a big heart. Their passion is helping people. Their passion is changing this industry and doing it right. We've got amazing leaders like Randy and Valerie Haugen and all the people that they bring to the table that have bought into their vision. I'm told there was a lot of people at the very beginning at that first meeting at Randy's house that could have been a part of this that chose not to. They chose to just, we're wealthy, we're happy, it sounds like a lot of work, we don't want to be a part of it. But, it's those people that said, we're passionate enough about what's happening in America and the difference we can make that we're willing to go to work again. And I'm so thankful for, your Tyler Libby's and your Gary and Judy Libby's and, the Markham or the Sims and, the Whitney Quats, the Bill Evans, Bill and Tammy Evans, all of you that came along that have been down this road before and have been successful and just said, hey, we're going to work our tails off again because it's the right thing to do. I'm telling you, we just have the greatest leadership on the planet of any organization that I've ever seen. And that's what I'm pretty excited about.
That's fantastic. Okay, one last thing. We got a couple promos going on. And, of course, we have a major coming up. But, I know you and I, we had a lot of fun on that cruise. And I think specifically in my head of the picture of you guys with the two seats in the middle, right, and the caption, where are you, or we want you here, right? I mean, you guys had an absolute ball. You tore it up on that thing. We all had just an amazing time taking over that cruise ship. So I'm sitting there and I'm ready. I'm a new guy and I'm ready to think about making this run, right? And by the way, I think we've made it so much easier this year, right, to get to Cancun than it was for us and our teams and your teams and so forth last year to get to that cruise. So it may look like we didn't simplify it, but man, we made it simple to get there. It's just the activities that you have to do are totally in alignment with our build strategy on what we do, how we do it. And, I'm always telling people, look, just sit down with your plugged in, moving on business support team and understand exactly what you got to do to get there because, man, you can get there. But talk a little bit about that itself and why they want to go to the regional and not regional, why they want to go to the major out in Vegas, free enterprise celebration. And, tell me a little bit about that trip. Why would they want to do that, man?
Well, Avisae, I mean, if you're going to come into this business and you're going to really treat it like a business and you're going to go for it, and you're going to really shoot for the ultimate life, then you have to be at our major conferences. And Bill, I've been to a lot of conferences in the last 23 years, and nobody puts on a conference like Avisae puts on. I mean, these weekends are so, I hate to say life-changing because people are like, life-changing, we mean life-changing, but really the impact these weekends have on you, the opportunity to just get away from the day-to-day, hassles and struggles of life, the busyness of life, and just immerse yourself in an environment where you're uplifted, your belief goes up. There's just, I have so many stories I could tell you of people that went to these major conferences and what a humongous impact it made on their life and how much they changed coming out of it and how they change everything. I mean, you absolutely have to be in Vegas if you're going to build this business. Even if you're not planning on building this business, go to Vegas because the impact it'll have on you there's no way I haven't figured out how to put it into words, what these weekends do for you. And guys, as far as Cancun goes, we work hard, but we play hard too. And I'm telling you, I've been privileged to be on a lot of these trips, incentive trips and stuff like that. But man, that cruise we were just on, even Sarah said, we have never been on a trip like that in our entire lives. I mean, we took over that ship, and it was so fun because we were at dinner together every night, and then we'd go to a show together every night, and then we'd go out and do karaoke together every night. I mean, we were a unified bunch. I mean, there was no, lines of sponsorship and all this stuff on that ship. We were just a unified body of people having a blast, having a good time, unwinding a little bit from all the hard work. And I don't think I have laughed so much and had so much fun on a vacation ever in my entire life. Guys, Cancun is worth running hard for. Anybody on this call can be in Cancun with us. And I'm telling you, it's a lot of work, right? But it's worth it. I'm telling you, it's worth it. When you're in Cancun and you're sitting on that island oasis in the middle of the pool with Randy and Valerie Haugen and Tyler Libby and Bill and Tammy Evans and all the great leaders, and you're listening to Randy and Val just talk about what it's going to be like and what, when we go global and what it's going to be like when they fly you on a private jet out to Australia to speak at one of their conferences. I mean, you can't even describe what it's like to sit there in that environment. Guys, run hard. This thing's the real deal. It's like I tell my team, I go, most of you will never again in your entire lives ever have the opportunity that you're sitting on right here today. So if you're ever going to do anything to move your life forward, this is the time to do it right now, today, because this opportunity will never happen ever again.
Awesome. Justin, it's been a true pleasure and even a privilege to get to talk with you, interview you, have a conversation with you that we let everybody else listen in on. I am so proud to call you my friend and also colleague, and I'm telling you, guys, listen, we can do this, you can do this. This is the time, this is the place. You've got the right business, the right business model, the right team, the right business support team. It's all here. And I'm not going to take anything more or say that much more because Justin said it all. Guys, this is worth it. This is worth your time. So I'm going to wrap it up. Justin, any last thoughts before we take off here?
Bill, for me, this business is just a humbling privilege to be a part of it. And I know for a new person maybe listening to this call, you see this as one of those things where we got you and now you're in and you're buying product. And, I'm just telling you, man, I hope your attitude changes if that's your thought process, because for me, I am just so honored and privileged that I get to be a part of this organization. It's one of the greatest blessings in my life. So I hope you stick around long enough to get that feeling and see what we're all about, see that it really is a privilege to be a part of this group.
Awesome. Justin, thanks so much for taking the time. I know you've got a really busy schedule out there laying around at the beach and hiking, and having fun, getting ready to go speak for Whitney and his team and light up Southern California. And man, I tell you what, guys, that's the dream. Can you imagine it? I mean, think about this, right? So Justin's out there working his tail off right now, having fun in Southern California. They're paying him to go out there to do it. And you know, he's going out there and he is really taking his time away from his group, but he's going to go out there and he's going to share his heart, share the system, share the build strategy that we all have. We're all aligned. It all starts with Randy Haugen, and I'm telling Randy and Val, and guys, I'm telling you what, we've got it. It's right here, right now. So no more time. Listen, do the activity. Don't negotiate the price of success. Figure out what the price of success is. Don't negotiate it. Just say, I'm going to pay it. Join us out in Las Vegas at Free Enterprise, and then keep that run moving and meet us in Cancun on the beach. I'm telling you, we're going to have so much fun. Look, we believe in each one of you. We know you can do this. This is not a superstar model, as Justin was just talking about. This is something, no matter who you are, where you come from, if this is day one, the first thing you've heard, you can do this. It's just get a big enough why. Get a why that drives you, that says, I will do this, because you have the vehicle. This is the vehicle to get you there. So, guys, we're proud of you. We care about you. We want to see you. Let's go out. Let's go get them, and let's conquer the world. Over and out.